Hello everyone, in today's class we are going to discuss about how to install Splunk Enterprise, and also we are going to discuss about how to install Splunk Universal Forwarder. So Splunk is a SIEM tool. So SIEM stands for Security Information and Event Management. By using the Splunk, we can analyze the logs generated in the devices. Before installing the Splunk, you need to create an account in the Splunk. After that, you can download the Splunk Enterprise and then Splunk Universal Forwarder from the Splunk website. So first we are going to install the Splunk Enterprise. For that, you have to open the Splunk Enterprise. So you have to wait for the installation. So you have to type next, and then you have to select your folder for installing the Splunk. I'm going to select my folder. So after that, you need to select local system, and then you have to select the username, password for your Splunk. You can type your own username and password. So and then you have to select install. So you have to wait for the installation process. So after the installation is completed, you can see the Splunk Enterprise is opened in the browser. And then you have to type your username and password created in the Splunk. So I'm going to type my username and password, and then I'm going to select sign in. So you can see the GUI for the Splunk. So this is the Splunk Enterprise. So in the administration, you can see the account settings, preferences, and then logout option. In the messages, you can see the warnings for your Splunk Enterprise. And then in the settings, you can see the options like knowledge, data, system, and user and authentication. If you want to add any data, you can use the settings options. And then in the knowledge section, you can see the searches, reports, alerts, and then data models, event types, tags, fields, lookups, user interface, alert actions, advanced search, and all configuration. So in the settings, you can see the options like server settings, server controls, health report manager, instrumentation license. In the data, you can see the inputs for the data, and then forward and receiving the data, index. For you have to create an index for your Splunk, and then you can see the options of report acceleration summaries. In the distributor environment, you can see the options like indexer, clustering, and then forwarder management. We are going to discuss that by using the Universal Forwarder. At last, you can see the user and authentication. In the users like roles, users, tokens, password management. If you want to change the password, you can use that. In the activity, you can see the jobs and alerts. In the help, you can see the manual for the Splunk. So if you want to read the manual, you can use that option. And then find, if you want to find any services, you can use that options. In the home page settings, you can see the domain name and then domain value. You can type your own domain and values. So these are all the navigation options. So we have successfully installed the Splunk Enterprise in the Windows. Then we are going to install the Splunk Universal Forwarder. So Universal Forwarder is very important for collecting your logs from your devices. So that's the use of Universal Forwarder. So before installing the Universal Forwarder, you need to set receiving port for the Splunk. For that, you have to select settings. In that, you have to select forward and receiving. So in that, you have to configure the receive data port. For that, you have to select add new option or configure receiving. So you can select any one of the option. So after that, you have to type new receiving port. So in the receiving port, you have to type 9997. So that's the default port for the receiving data in the Splunk. So after typing the port, you have to select save. So you can see the status enabled. So we have successfully configured the receiving data. Then we can install the Splunk Forwarder. So you have to accept the license, and then you have to select customize option if you want to change the folder for your Splunk Forwarder. So after selecting your folder, you have to select next. After that, you have to select next. In that, you have to select local system, and then you have to select next. So you have to select the logs for your Splunk. So I'm going to select Windows event logs. So in that I'm going to select application log, security log, system log, forwarded event logs, and then setup logs. If you want to select everything, you can select that. So I'm going to select only the Windows event logs. You can type your own username and password for your Splunk forwarder. So you have to remember the username and then password. And then you have to type the host name or IP. So the IP is nothing but our local host. So you have to type the local host for your Splunk forwarder. So you need to type the local host, that is 127.0.0.1. And then you have to type the default port, that is 8089. Again you have to type the default localhost IP, that is 127.0.0.1. And also you need to remember that if you install the Splunk Enterprise in the Linux OS, then you have to type the IP address of the Linux OS IP in the Universal Forwarder. In today's class, I installed both Universal Forwarder and then Enterprise in the same system. That's why I type localhost IP. So after installing the forwarder management, you need to open the Splunk. In that you have to select the settings and then you have to select forwarder management. So you have to wait for 5 minutes for loading your Universal Forwarder. Before that, you can see the options like there is no forwarder available. So you have to wait for 5 minutes. So after the 5 minutes, you can see the forwarder available in my Splunk Enterprise. So you can see the forwarder name, that is my Windows name. And also you can see the IP address. So you can see the host name and then client name and then instance name and then IP address and then actions. If you want to delete the forwarder management, you can use that. So we have successfully installed the forwarder management. So after that, we are going to discuss about how to collect the logs for our Splunk. For collecting the logs, you need to select Add Data option in the Splunk Enterprise. So after that, you need to select Forward option, that is Universal Forwarder, that is Splunk Forwarder. And then you have to select the forwarder for your Splunk. So I'm going to select the forwarder and then I'm going to type the class name. So you can type your own class name. So after typing the name, you can select next. So and then you can see the local event logs. In that you can see the Windows logs available. You can see the application log, forwarded events, security log, system log and setup log. So you have to add all the logs for your Splunk. So if you want to upload any manual files, you can select the second option, that is files and directories. If you have any manual logs, you can use the second option. And also you can see the other options for uploading the logs. I'm going to select next option. And then you have to create the new index for your logs. So you can type your own index name and then you have to select save. So before that, you need to select your size of the logs. I'm going to select 500 MB. So for the basic, I'm going to select 500 MB. So you can create your own file data and then you have to select review. So these are all the configuration we have set for the Splunk. So first class name and then forwarder and then collection name and then input type, that is the event logs, and then you can see the application log, forwarded event, security, setup and system. So you have to select submit. So that's it, we have successfully created the logs for our Splunk. And then you have to select start searching. After that, you can see the GUI for the searching. So you can type your index name, that is we have created in the previous section, that is basic. So basic is our index. And then you can type your time range. You can type your own time range, whether it can be real time or relative or date range or date and time range or all time. I'm going to select all time. So after that, you need to select any one of the mode. I'm going to select verbose mode. Verbose mode contains all the information about the logs. After that, you need to select search. So after that, you can see all the logs will be present in the Splunk. So you can see the information about the logs. So you can see the information like event type, computer name, and then source name, and then type of the information, and then record name, keywords, task category, information about the code, and then message credential management details. And also you can see the subject of the details. So you can see the subject security ID, account name, account domain, account logon ID, and then read operations. So these are all the important details present in our security logs. So by using the Splunk, we can monitor our Windows event logs. By using the Splunk, we can find the hacker's methodology. Whatever the methodology uses by the hacker will be present in the Splunk. And then you can also see the fields available in the Splunk. By using the fields, we can find the host name, and then source name, and then source type. You can see the host name of our computer, and then you can see the percentage for the user account. So after that, you can see the source is nothing but our logs. So Windows event security log, and then application log. So that's the source, and then you can see the source name. So the source name is nothing but Windows Security Auditing. So that's it guys. In today's class, we have discussed about how to install Splunk Universal Forwarder, and also we have discussed about how to install Splunk Enterprise.